We've had lots of requests to do a video on the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. These are from my previous posts when I was getting the vaccine and also whilst I've been involved in the COVID vaccine clinics. So in this week's video, I'm going to give you all the information that you need to know about the COVID-19 vaccine. I'm going to tell you how it works, I'm going to tell you who should get it, who shouldn't get it, all about the side effects, what we know about the COVID vaccine in pregnancy, and loads more. I will also be releasing a video on the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine next week at my usual time, Monday 4 PM GMT. So if you're interested, please stay tuned for that. I will leave a link to it in the description below and up here whenever it goes live. Also, if you do want a video on the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine, please leave a comment below too, and I'll look into doing that as well if we get enough comments. Now, before we begin, I just want to make you all aware that this video was filmed on the 23rd of January 2021. Therefore, all the information I give you is up to date on this day, but most likely in the future, this information will update, and the best way for you to remain up to date is to 1, speak to your healthcare professional, and 2, visit the websites such as the NHS, the WHO website often to stay up to date with that information, and I will leave links to them in the description below. Okay, so let's begin with the fun stuff. First of all, how does the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine work? Well, for you to understand that, we first need to understand how the actual COVID-19 virus works, and then we'll be able to understand how the actual vaccine works. So I'm going to try and simplify it and make it really easy to understand. So first of all, we have the COVID-19 virus. It has these proteins on the outside which we call spike proteins. The spike proteins help the virus stick to your healthy cells. So once the spike proteins have stuck onto those healthy cells, the COVID-19 virus is able to pull itself into those healthy cells and take over. This is otherwise known as an infection. Now the problem is, the COVID-19 virus is really good at hiding, so it's difficult for your body to detect it, kill it, and get rid of it. So then the virus is able to use the tools within your healthy cells to continuously replicate and multiply and then infect more cells, infect more healthy cells. Now the problem is it takes a bit of time for your immune system to realize what's happening and to notice this virus. And once it does notice the virus, it's then able to build defense proteins which we call antibodies. These antibodies are then able to stop those spike proteins that we just spoke to from sticking to more healthy cells and infecting more healthy cells. Now on top of that, the antibodies can also act as a signal to your immune cells, which we call T cells. Now these T cells are super strong and they can come and gobble up the virus entirely and stop it from working and attacking your healthy cells. The T cells can also send signals to your other immune cells to come over and help us get rid of this virus. Okay, so we're now starting to get somewhere because you now have a brief understanding of how the COVID-19 virus works. So it's going to be really easy for you to understand how the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine actually works. So this vaccine has something that we call messenger ribonucleic acid in it. We call that mRNA for short. Now this mRNA, this section of mRNA, is put within a fat bubble. This fat bubble is protecting it and it helps it get into your healthy cells. Once it gets into your healthy cells, this mRNA is like an instruction. It's like a recipe almost for your healthy cells on how to create that spike protein that we just spoke about. Now please remember that there are no preservatives or animal products within this vaccine. Now moving back onto how it works, this mRNA that we just spoke about, it's showing your body how to make these spike proteins. So your body, your cells are going to make those spike proteins that we just spoke about earlier. However, what we're doing here is we're giving your body the chance to make those antibodies, to make those T cells, to make these immune cells ready to fight the COVID-19 virus if you do get infected later on. So remember that lifetime that we spoke about earlier, there's none of that because it's giving your body time to generate those antibodies and T cells which will be floating around within your bloodstream. So if you do get infected with COVID-19, your body's going to be ready, it's going to be prepared to fight, and hopefully it's going to mean that you're going to be a lot less ill from COVID-19. Okay, so I hope that made sense, but I know what you're thinking. You're probably now thinking, well, what happens to that mRNA? Well, after a couple of days, that mRNA is broken down and your body excretes it out of your system entirely. So you don't need to worry about that. Also, the mRNA which they use for the COVID-19 vaccine is a small section from the actual COVID-19 virus. And that section, like I said earlier, is a section which is the instructions on how to create the spike proteins. This means that you are unable to get COVID-19 as a virus, as a symptom. You're unable to get infected with COVID-19 from the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. I hope that made sense. Okay, so in the next part of this video, I want to now talk about the clinical trials and the research involved with the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. I will try and keep it brief, but please remember this is real science in action, so it's going to be some great stuff and some great information that I'm going to give you. Also, if you want some specific information that you're looking for, because this is quite a long video, I know it's going to be a long video, I am going to chapter it and timestamp it in the description below, so feel free to click on it and click on any section which you are interested in. Now let's begin. So phase 1 of the clinical trials involved 44,000 different people of different age, race, ethnicity and gender, and this is really good to see because it gives us a really diverse, broad population to work with, and you really want to see this in clinical trials when you're wanting to bring in a new medicine. Now these tests were done in the USA, Germany, Brazil, Argentina, South Africa and Turkey. So as you can see, it was a real global effort. So of these people, 22,000 of them got the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine and the other 22,000 got a placebo. This is because you're then able to compare whether those who got the vaccine were protected against COVID-19 compared to those who got nothing. Now to measure the effectiveness of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, scientists measured the amount of antibodies produced against the spike proteins that we spoke about earlier. Now the scientists found that after the first dose, there was a large amount of antibodies produced, and even better yet, after the second dose, there was an even higher amount of antibodies produced. And quite interestingly, it was actually found that you produced more antibodies from the vaccine than someone who caught COVID-19, okay, which is exactly what you want from a vaccine. That is exactly what you want from the vaccine for it to work. And in theory, a high amount of antibodies should mean longer protection against COVID-19. This is again in theory, it hasn't been proven, and more research is needed to find out and prove this. And finally, the phase 3 clinical trials of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine showed that this vaccine has 94% efficacy in those who are aged over 65 and 95% in those of different ages, race, gender and ethnic backgrounds. And quite promisingly, the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine maintained its 95% efficacy in patients with long-term health conditions. For example, those who are asthmatic, those with chronic lung disease, diabetics, people with high blood pressure, and those with a BMI of over 30. So next up is, how do you get the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine? How is it administered? Well, it's an intramuscular injection, which means the injection goes into your muscle. It's done in the deltoid muscle right over here. The first dose is given, and then the second dose is given after 21 days. Now, when you've had your dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, you need to sit down and wait for 15 minutes afterwards. This is just to ensure that you're having no allergic reactions to it. Now, it's also really important that you're aware that you do not get any other vaccinations either on the same day or within 7 days of your Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. The reason for this is it's a new medicine. We're still learning about it, and we want to give it the best chance to work to its best ability because we don't know if there's going to be any interactions. So please do not have it on the same day, and if you're going to have another vaccine, leave at least 7 days between the two. Okay, so now let's talk about who can get the COVID-19 vaccine. If you're based in the UK, the COVID-19 vaccine is free for anyone on the NHS. Please do remember that. Now the rollout of the vaccine is obviously going to be structured, so there's going to be a priority base that we're going first, followed by other people. Now this list will be changing and it'll be updated very, very often. So the best thing to do for this bit is I'm going to link it in the description below on the NHS website, which shows you the order of people who will be getting it, so feel free to click on it for more information. So the NHS is currently offering the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine to those who are most risk of COVID-19. I'm going to leave a box somewhere here with that list of people who are the first ones who will be getting vaccinated. But please remember, this list will be changing. It's going to get wider and wider, so more people will be in the list for vaccination. This list is changed by the Joint Committee of Vaccination and Immunisation. These guys are super smart. We call them the JVCI for short. They're the ones who make the list, and that will be updated with time. Please also remember that the NHS will be in touch with you when it's your turn for your COVID-19 vaccine. Please don't bother ringing your surgery and asking about the COVID-19 vaccine. They're already busy as it is, reception is super busy as it is, and they can't do anything different to make you have it sooner. The JVCI have determined the list, and your surgery will be in touch when it is your time. They have not forgotten about you. Please do not worry, they will be in touch. And on an even more serious note, there have been quite a few scams happening recently with regards to the COVID-19 vaccine. People are getting calls out of the blue, people pretending to be the NHS, asking for money for the COVID-19 vaccine. Please remember, the NHS will never charge you for the COVID-19 vaccine. It is 100% free. Nobody will call you asking for money. If anyone does, please hang up the phone and do not fall for this scam. So next up, we have who cannot get the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. If you have a severe allergic reaction or an anaphylactic reaction to any of the ingredients within the vaccine, you should not be getting this vaccine. Now, those ingredients, I'm going to leave them all in the description below. Please also remember that if you've had an anaphylactic reaction or a serious allergic reaction to your first dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, then your second dose should not be the same vaccine, and you will have to discuss this with your healthcare professional. Now, speaking of anaphylaxis, this was a big topic with the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. The MHRA have stated recently that if any patient who has had an anaphylactic reaction to a certain food, a medicine, a vaccine, or an insect sting, or anything like that, they can still have the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, providing they know that they are not allergic to any of the ingredients in there. However, it is important to note that the British Society of Allergy and Clinical Immunology have stated that if any patient has had a history of anaphylaxis to a medicine or a vaccine or any unexplained anaphylaxis, they should avoid the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, and instead they should get the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine instead. I'm going to talk about this vaccine in next week's video in more detail, so if you're interested in finding out more about it, like I said at the start, link up here and in the description below. And another group of people who should not have the vaccine currently are pregnant women and people under the age of 16. Currently, these people should avoid the vaccine. However, this can change over time. I am going to talk about this in more detail after the next point. And please do remember that if you currently have COVID-19 or you're still recovering from COVID-19, please do not get the vaccine. Please wait until you are fully recovered before you get the COVID-19 vaccine. We don't want you to go to these vaccination hubs and centers with COVID-19 and spread it. That is the last thing that we want. It just works against everything that we're doing. So if you're unsure at all, please contact your healthcare professional and check with them. Okay, so now let's move on to pregnancy and let's talk some science. You're probably aware from previous vaccines that a lot of them are safe in pregnancy. So the question is, why are you being advised against the COVID-19 vaccine right now in pregnancy? Well, to be honest with you, it's quite simple. The vaccine has not yet been tested in pregnancy. This means that until we have more information and more research on this, those who are pregnant should not routinely be given the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, please do remember though, the evidence from non-clinical studies on the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine have been received and reviewed by the MHRA, by the WHO, by the health authorities in the USA, in Canada, and in Europe, and they have raised no concerns about its safety within pregnancy. So what this means is that non-clinical evidence is required before a clinical study can be conducted on the safety of the vaccine within pregnancy. So this is usual protocol not to recommend the COVID-19 vaccine or any vaccine during pregnancy until a full clinical study has been done and we have more information on it. So please do remember these facts, and remember, this is usual protocol. It's nothing different to what we usually do. There's no evidence that suggests that the COVID-19 vaccine is unsafe during pregnancy, but we basically just need more information and more research on it before it can be recommended for routine vaccination during pregnancy. Unfortunately, there is a lot of misinformation on this topic right now, so I really hope this information helps you. Now, in the UK, the JVCI recommend two situations where you may be able to get the COVID-19 vaccine during pregnancy. The first one is your occupation, if it puts you at a higher risk of getting COVID. The second one is if you have any underlying health conditions that could put you at higher risk of complications if you got COVID-19. Now, in terms of breastfeeding, there's currently no data on the safety of the COVID-19 vaccine for breastfeeding or breastfed infants. Now, despite this, the COVID-19 vaccine is not thought to be a risk to breastfed infants, and the benefits of breastfeeding is very well known. Now, as a result of this, the JVCI has recommended that the vaccine can be given to those who are breastfeeding, and this is in line with the information given in the USA and by the WHO. Now, please do remember that this video was filmed on the 23rd of January 2021. All the information that I've given in this video is up to date on this day only, and this information can change with time. So the best advice I can give you is always speak to your healthcare professional and always visit the NHS and WHO website to stay up to date with COVID-19, the vaccine, and the information on pregnancy as well. I will leave links to them all in the description below. Okay, so how are we doing so far? I hope you're still with me. If you're still with me, make sure to click that like button to show that you're enjoying the video and you're finding this information helpful. Now, let's move on to the side effects of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine. So the main side effects are very similar to other vaccines. The main one is obviously going to be a pain in your arm where you've been jabbed, where the injection is being done. Mine probably lasted for about 3 to 4 days. Same with my colleagues and friends who have had it as well. This is the main side effect. The other side effects include a bit of a fever. You might have that for 48 hours. You can also have a bit of a headache. You can feel a bit tired. You might feel a bit nauseous. You can also feel a bit achy in your joints and muscles, but these are all normal side effects that you can get with it, and they will go. Now, please remember that when you get your first dose of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, you may experience some redness and some swelling at the injection site, and this can last up to 7 days. It's also useful to know that it'd be really helpful for your healthcare professional that you let them know how you get on. You let them know about any side effects that you experience when you go in for your second dose. Now, with any of these minor side effects that we've spoke about, if you are struggling with them at all, if you're struggling with a temperature, if you're struggling with any of the aches and the pains, you can take over-the-counter analgesia such as paracetamol or ibuprofen for them. This is completely fine, but please do speak to your healthcare professional first so they can make sure that you're safe and suitable to take any medication. And as I always say, always read the information leaflet that comes with any medication. That's the most important thing, because your safety is the most important thing. Now, another thing that I'd like to discuss is something called the yellow card reporting scheme. This is something that we do in the UK. We do it for all medication, and it helps us gather more information about medicines and their side effects and any problems people have been having. So the same applies for the COVID-19 vaccine. Because it's a new vaccine, we're doing the yellow card reporting scheme. So I'm going to leave a link to it in the description below. You can fill it out online. You can do it yourself. It doesn't have to be a healthcare professional that does it. If you have any kind of side effects, feel free to go on that website, fill out the report. It's going to be really useful for healthcare professionals and scientists just to help them collate that information and gather more data on the vaccine. Another important point that I'd like to discuss is please remember that if you do develop a continuous cough, if you have any loss of smell or taste, or if you get a temperature which is constantly over 37.8 degrees Celsius or 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit, then please self-isolate, because this could be COVID-19. You may have got it before the vaccine, you may have got it after the vaccine. This is a possibility as well. So please remember that if you get any of these sort of COVID-19 symptoms that we all know very well now, you need to self-isolate and follow your government guidelines. Here in the UK, please visit the NHS website, arrange a COVID-19 test. I will leave more information about this in the description below. And now on to the final burning question. How long will this vaccine be effective for? Now, unfortunately, we don't have a crystal ball that I can see into the future for. This is still something that we're researching into, scientists are researching into it and working really hard to find out. We don't know yet what's going to happen and how effective it will be. It might be a case that we might need a booster every 6 months or every year. So after your second dose, you get another booster to keep those antibodies high, which we spoke about earlier. Similar to how we do the flu vaccine, for example, how it's every year, but this still has to be proven. There's still a lot of research that needs to be done. Another thing to mention as well is we don't know if it's going to stop the transmission of the virus. This still hasn't been proven yet to see how effective it is. So the best advice I can give you is just stay up to date with the information provided by the WHO, the NHS, or your own government, whatever organization they have. Stay up to date with them, because the information I'm giving you today is relevant and up to date for today, and these things will change. So for my final thoughts, I think that the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine has proven to be safe so far. The clinical trials that we spoke about earlier showed no major safety concerns or no safety concerns for us to be worried about. And the clinical trials were done on a large number of people and a very diverse number of people, which is everything that you want to see in a clinical trial. But despite all of this, please do remember that if you do get the COVID-19 vaccine, you still need to maintain social distance. You need to maintain wearing a face mask as much as you can whenever you go out and you're mixing with people. You need to wash your hands as often as you can. You need to do all the things that we used to do, because the vaccine still hasn't been proven to stop transmission. This hasn't been proven. And also there still is a chance that you can catch COVID-19. So these social distancing things that we spoke about still need to be maintained. So please do remember, as I mentioned earlier, if you get any of the signs and symptoms of COVID-19, the constant cough, the high temperature, loss of sense of taste or smell, any of these sort of symptoms, you need to do what we've been doing this whole time. You need to self-isolate, follow your government guidelines. If you're in the UK, you need to self-isolate and get your COVID-19 test. Go online on the NHS website, which I will leave you links to in the description below. And just to remind you one last time, this video was filmed on the 23rd of January 2021. All of the information that I give is up to date today, but that can change with time. So please do stay up to date with the latest information via the WHO website, the NHS website, or your local government websites that you know and trust. I will leave links to them in the description below. Thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, I want to thank you again for watching. And also, if you would like a video on the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine, please do let me know. Leave a comment below. If we get enough comments, I will do it. Please remember as well, next week, Monday, 4 PM GMT, will be the next video all about the Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine. I hope you find that helpful too. Thank you for watching. Always remember that you're awesome, and I will see you next week. Hey guys, thanks for watching this week's video. Make sure to click that like, follow, or subscribe button now to stay up to date with new weekly videos.